3 karmic lessons that will illuminate your path. We cannot escape what is meant for us. Karmic lessons are mental, emotional, or social challenges that a past life helps us to overcome. It uses various circumstances of our current life for this purpose, so that we often don't even realize that this is a legacy. Even if every life feels like a line to us humans, it is actually more of a loop that can repeat itself endlessly. However, as our consciousness is only ever present in one existence, this life feels extremely significant and unique to us. How much the different levels of reincarnation sometimes intertwine here is something no one will ever know. An inkling remains, perhaps a déjà vu or two, and lessons that we are served up until we have understood them. We would like to introduce you to 3 such powerful karmic lessons that will show you the way towards enlightenment. 1. The lesson about guilt. Hardly any human life can do without it. If we do not feel it of our own accord or through our own negligence, it is society that ensures that sooner or later we end up in the tower of guilt. Guilt is a powerful feeling that keeps people down and forges them into invisible chains for life if the cards are played right. Entire generations live and have lived in guilt without really knowing the causes. If we are guilty of something, this feeling is justified. It then serves fate as a regulator to guide us back onto the path of virtue. Most people have a conscience that serves as a moral compass. If it speaks out too loudly, we have behaved wrongly, failed to do good, or done evil. It is not only political systems that work very effectively with collective guilt. Religious institutions such as the Catholic Church, for example, have also made use of the guilt mechanism for centuries. Guilt creates control within the population. It keeps us from going overboard and becoming reckless. For the path towards karmic enlightenment, the lesson of guilt means 3 things. A. No human being is immune from incurring guilt. B. Guilt is the effect, not the cause. C. Anyone who confesses guilt, repents, and learns from it has understood this lesson. 2. The lesson of the alchemists. Man's eternal dream of making gold from sand or lead teaches us a great deal for this life and all those that are to follow. Consider everything that does not run smoothly for you and could cause bad karma as lead, which will weigh heavily in your hand and even more heavily on your karma balance sheet. Learn sooner rather than later how to turn your shadow side towards the sun and turn your lead into gold. Nobody but you can do this. You must realize that from the outset. If you now think that you as a human being are far too insignificant to have a major influence on the fate of the universe, remind yourself of the law of correspondence. It says, "As above, so below, and as within, so without." Applied to the world, this means that the human microcosm corresponds 1-to-1 to the universe macrocosm and vice versa. Each and every one of us carries this responsibility within us throughout our lives. The sooner we understand this karmic lesson, the better for us and all the worlds we will travel to. So whenever we have the opportunity to turn something bad into something good, we must seize it with courage. 3. The lesson about freedom. We humans can do a lot, but can we do everything? You are probably familiar with the well-known saying, "With great power comes great responsibility." The karmic lesson on freedom attempts to illustrate precisely this point of view. Everyone has the ability and means to achieve great things, but this greatness can be good or bad. The law of attraction rules here, and as we know, it does not distinguish whether its impulses will have positive or negative effects. Strictly speaking, every person holds the fate of the whole world in their hands 24 hours a day. Thank God only very few people realize how powerful their thoughts and feelings really are. If half the world were familiar with the workings of manifestation and visualization, who knows how our planet would fare? So karma requires us to take responsibility for our actions. If not in this life, then in the next. If there is more against us than for us, we can still turn the tide. Karma cannot be bribed and cannot be negotiated with. But it always keeps its eyes on the balance sheet, not on the individual items. The karmic lesson of freedom requires us to use it to our advantage without harming others. We must learn to deal with opportunities without wasting them or letting them pass unnoticed. Hardly any other karmic lesson requires as much sensitivity and foresight as that of freedom. Fate means well, karma knows better. We never know what experiences are good for until karma, in its infinite wisdom, allows us to share in them. Many people go through a kind of limbo for years without even beginning to understand the meaning behind it. 7 lean years are not always followed by 7 lush ones. Sometimes life is simply not fair, but most of the time it is. What we should never lose sight of on any day of our existence in this world is the contribution we ourselves make to it. Every thought, every feeling, every word, and every action that we send out into the universe resonates somewhere. Making fate or karma responsible for our happiness or unhappiness is therefore pathetic and is basically only intended to release us from our own responsibility. You can make thousands of matches from one tree, but a single one would be enough to destroy thousands of trees. Never underestimate the effect of action and reaction. They shape our destiny and are ultimately what we understand by karma.